Connacht picked things up in the second half to win a game that lasted 92 minutes. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. Amazingly, this one went 12 minutes beyond the regular 80 minutes because both teams had the chance of getting a bonus point if they scored one more try, so nobody wanted the game to finish. So we start off first half, Connacht on the attack, the kick in behind. Ferias wins the race to the ball. He's under pressure. He offloads close to his own line, carried up, and then offloaded again to Garcia, who carries it out of the 22 up to halfway before he then kicks in behind Connacht. We have like a hurry clearance allows then Montemari to run it back, but Zebre knock on just outside the 22, but they did have penalty advantage for offside. A real frantic start to this game, like end to end. Zebre then go to the corner from the penalty, move off the maul. Connacht sacked like a front peel. It was a decent idea from Zebre, but Connacht were wide to it. Struggling then to get closer than 5 meters, and eventually there's a forward pass under pressure. Connacht win a penalty at the resulting scrum, and they can clear. A loose kick then from Connacht is run back by Zebre. They get Belloni into a pocket of space on the left. He kicks in behind, and Connacht have to scramble clear. Back comes Zebre, but Connacht's defence once again forces an error. Sanon then with a strong carry on the right, off to Ferrari, who takes them into the 22. His offload to Garcia is knocked on. Would have been real danger for Connacht had that gone to hand. You could have seen him maybe slipping in between two defenders, and the try line then was open to him. Ribaldi then is free kicked for not getting the ball in quick enough from a line out in his own 22. Connacht have a scrum and they attack off it. Strong carries from Janssen and Murphy. That brings them just short of the line. They pound away at that line until Mullins gets over. But then we have a TMO check. There was a knock-on from Ioane in the build-up. No try. Looked marginal, honestly. Once they actually found the correct replay, because they kept on the TV feed just replaying the moment that the try was scored, and it was like a phase before that where the knock-on apparently happened. But the referee and TMO happy that they saw a knock-on there, but again looked a bit marginal. But I suppose you got to go with what you see. Zebre then on the attack off the scrum, but there's another knock-on. Credit again to Connacht's defence, but Zebre, their ability just to go from defending on their own 22 and then get it up the other end is brilliant. It's just that final pass just not quite being sympathetic enough. But again, it's the pressure from the defence that's causing it. Zebre then win a penalty at the scrum. Ferias makes it 3-0 from the tee as we finally open the score. Connacht then get going as they go through a number of phases to work it into the 22. They force a penalty, kick that to the corner. They move it off the line out with penalty advantage. Back then for the penalty. The line out though misfires. Connacht, they do have possession, but it was scrappy. They've lost momentum and they kind of have to almost start again. They move it. 1 out carries, crash against the Zebre defence, but they knock on the line. Zebre then immediately decide to counter. They shift the ball out to the left, and Jesse brings play up to halfway to lift the siege. Zebre then work it to 10 metres out, but Tierney Martin gets over the ball, wins a penalty for Connacht. Now it's Connacht who've worked it 5 metres out, and Sean Janssen offloads to Duggan, but the ball gets stripped and the tackle. Halftime score 3-0. Lots of attacking opportunities for both teams, but the defence is right at the death, really, being able to prevent any tries being scored. Into the second half then, right at the start of that half, Ford blocks a clearance kick down. gets the ball first. He's out on the left. It's recycled. Blade goes infield to Joyce. Over he goes to score, converted for 7 points to 3. Connacht then attack off a line out. They move it right to left into 22, but Zebre strip the ball and clear. And Zebre were very, very good at that. As they tackle the player, just going after the ball, and they stripped it on a number of occasions. Zebre then playing the line. And Connacht then, from the penalty, go to the corner to go through a number of phases, grinding down the Zebre defence before Blade gets it down on the line between the posts, converted for 14 points to 3. Zebre then off for a scrum from a penalty about 10 metres out from the Connacht line. Off the back of a dominant scrum, a couple of phases, and then Garcia goes between two defenders and gets it down to score. Converts, it's missed, and we're at 14 points to 8 at this stage. And yeah, having the Connacht try, the second Connacht try was Sean Jansen. It wasn't Blade who got it down on the, just check my notes there, on the line. But yeah, having no try scored in the first half, we kind of have a bit of a flurry of them at the start of the second half. Then Connacht back into 22. Barat with a strong carry, it was Barrett, right? Yeah, Barrett, sorry, with a strong carry. He goes close. They move it wide right. Garcia goes to the bin for a deliberate knock on as Connacht looked to offload close to the line. Looked a harsh one to me, honestly, for that. Especially like a yellow card. It was even marginal, I felt, for it being a penalty or not. Connacht then go to the maul. They drive over. Jansen gets his second try, converted for 21 points to 8. Zebre then work it up to 10 metres out from a penalty. They go to the maul off a line out. The backs pile in and they're moving forward, but are also crabbing sideways, and they get driven into touch. Good defence there from Connacht. Zebre then on attack, and there's a deliberate knock on by Mullins. He goes to the bin. This one, there's no argument about it from me. It was far clearer than the one where Zebre got a guy going to the bin. Zebre then kicks to the corner. They go to the maul, but immediately they move it off the maul. Savili comes on a good line, and over he goes to score. Connacht kind of caught a little bit on the hop there, converted for 21 points to 15. And now it's game on as we kind of go into the last few minutes of the game. Connacht now pushing to seal the win. Get a penalty in the 22. There's a bit of debate of what to do, If they take the points, they pretty much seal the win. If they go to the corner, though, they have a chance of a bonus point try. They opt to go for the posts rather than that bonus point. Gilbert makes it 24 points to 15, and we've got about a minute and a half left of the game at that stage. But then the game keeps going. Clock in the red for 9 minutes, and Zanon goes to the bin for a deliberate knock-on. Connacht then go to the corner, and a drive over in the maul. Oisin McCormick scores the bonus point try 11 minutes into the red, and then it's converted a minute later. So we're in the 92nd minute of the game, and we finally finish full time 31 points to 15. So let's have a look at the stats, and then we'll talk about each of the teams. So first up, try scored 2 for Zebre, 4 for Connacht. So they got that bonus point try at the end. The reason why Zebre were playing on, obviously they couldn't get a bonus point try, but if they got another try, they would have got a losing bonus point, and that was certainly worth playing on for them. And I felt like their performance, especially in the first half, probably deserved them getting something out of the game. Maybe not a win, but I thought, they were certainly good value for a bonus point, but they didn't get it, unfortunately for them. Possession 40% to 60%, offload 16 from Zebre, just 4 for Connacht, and you can see the difference in terms of Zebre just taking all of the risks, some of them paying off, some of them not so much, especially close to their own line. Meters gained then 427 to 377, and Clean breaks 8-4. Defenders beaten 24-25. So it's 1 in 3 basic conversion rate for Zebre and 1 in 6 for Connacht. Onto defence then, which again, for some reason, does not include tackles when it used to include tackles, even at the start of this season. Territory 40% to 60% again. So Connacht, the ones, who are controlling the ball and also where the game is being played for the most part. Kicks in play 20-23, and that's for 452 meters to 715. So you can see from that quite obviously that Connacht playing a longer game in terms of kicks, kicking longer, not so much in terms of contestables, whereas Zebre, a lot of their kicks were put up as contestables and looking for that chance to get some broken field play where they can be really good and it can be devastating, and also mixing that with those little kicks in behind the defence as well. Connacht, there are a few of those in there, but a lot of the time, they're kicking for that territory. They want to be playing in the Zebre half because you kind of know that if you put the pressure on Zebre, the way they play, a mistake, and potentially you've got, a scrum, or some kind of position in their half, and you have to work too hard for it. Kicks retained then 2 for Zebre, 3 for Connacht. So even putting up the contestables, not quite working out the way that Zebre wanted to. Onto set piece then, line out, 12 from 14 from Zebre for 86%. Connacht 17 from 1, 17 and 1 loss, so 17 out of 18 for 94%. So excellent there, and 1 line out steal as well. And Connacht traditionally in the URC have been one of the best defensive lineouts there, so no surprise really that they got the only steal of the game. Onto scrums then, 4 from 4 for Zebre for 100%, Connacht 6 from 7 for 86%, and it kind of swung between the two teams. Zebre won a few penalties at the scrum, but Connacht did as well. But in terms of actual dominant scrums, the couple of that there were in the game came from Zebre. Okay, so let's talk about the team. So we start with the home team, Zebre. They haven't won since the second round in the URC this year, and but recently performances have improved. They've been getting close to teams, and they ran Glasgow really close last week. That comeback in the second half that certainly Glasgow won't be happy about, but they got themselves in a position to potentially win the game. In this one, they had to lead at half time. Connacht kind of blitzed them at the start of the second half, but then they worked their way back into the game. They got back within a score, but then they didn't have that ability to go again and to be able to get themselves in front. Had they done that, maybe it would have given them kind of a bit of a lift to carry it home down the stretch, but they weren't able to do that. Connacht then were able to pull away from them. And as I said, I felt like on the balance of play, they probably deserved a losing bonus point out of the game, but unfortunately for them, they weren't able to do it. On to Connacht then. Connacht continuing to be up and down this season. I thought that Zebre were going to win this because Zebre have been in the better form of the two teams, albeit not getting results. But I felt that Connacht in that second half really did pick things up. They came with better accuracy than they had in the first half, and they had to work for their tries as well, especially the first couple where Zebre, their defense was absolutely brilliant, just holding them out. But Connacht, they stayed patient and they got themselves over the line. And Sean Jansen, he got 2 tries in this game, and he's scoring a lot of tries like that. I always, compare him to Gavin Coombs because he has that same ability. Give him the ball 2 or 3 meters out from the line, and he's your best bet to get over and get that ball down. And we saw it again in this game. And then to have the wherewithal as well. First of all, to decide, listen, we don't want to throw the game away. We're going to take the points and take the win, and almost like settling for a 4-point win rather than, taking the chance of going to the corner and getting a bonus point within the 80 minutes. They went for the 3 points, they got the win, but then, they were able to then go through those 12 minutes and being able to then, right there at the end, deliver when they had the chance. They went to the corner. They pretty much knew that, the game had gone on so long that this is pretty much going to be it, right? That there wasn't going to be another 3 or 4 minutes after this. They were able to deliver in that maul and get the score. Yes, they were helped by the fact that Zebre wanted to play on 2, because Zebre won, I think, 2 penalties during that period as well, where if they want to end the game, could have tapped it and kick it off. But Zebre obviously wanted to try and get back within a losing bonus point for themselves. But still, to have the wherewithal to be able to deliver after those 12 minutes is a good sign for them. There's still, though, a lot of work to do with this Connacht team. It's basically it's the consistency, but I really don't feel like that's going to come for them this year, because it's going to take this whole year for Lancaster to kind of get the team and mold it as his team. And then I think next year we're going to see a bit more consistency from them. It doesn't mean that they're going to be going out and winning more games necessarily, but it should mean that we're not going to see this, up, down that we've seen from Connacht for so many years now. So, that should be certainly a step in the right direction from them. But yeah, it's an away win, and it's a away bonus point win for them that, I think they really needed at this stage of the season.